She's only got she's only. Edit audience. What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday, happy Tuesday. We're back. And of course we'll talk about it as our next couple minutes of intros goes on. But shout out to last week, because last week was our last Tuesday in person. And you know, I've had a few people reach out to me that night. They're like, "Oh, what y'all talking about?"
First, last, but not the last.
Yeah, it's the last Tuesday, but it damn sure ain't the last Tuesday. That's for sure. People are like, "What did y'all talk about? What did y'all talk about? Who showed up?" And I was like, "Well, you should have been there, and you weren't." So, I mean, I can't really reveal the information. However, it was nice to see some faces that we hadn't seen since we went online. So about 3 years ago, I guess 4 years ago. And had a couple folks show up who was their very first time, have never done a Free Thinkers at all, have kind of chimed in a little bit on the group page, but never even participated in a Tuesday Night Live. So for those of y'all who came for your first time last week and returned, shout out. So grateful that you could come and join us in that space last Tuesday and just, put some faces with names. And sometimes I forget, like who's who. And a lot of my friends are friends with a lot of my other friends. And so just naturally over the course of time, like people have met each other, but then realizing last Tuesday, there were some folks in there who have literally only interacted with other free thinkers from the Free Thinkers page. So they're like, oh shit, like that's you, like that's really, really you. Like you're like a real human, you really exist. So that was great. Jules came out and ATX Dad Curtis came out. Scott had come out last week, hadn't seen him, the coffee shop days. Of course, Q and I, Smack was there. Couple guests of friends, so it was great. I was so happy when I was there. Yeah, it was good. And we really didn't have a topic last Tuesday. I think we went into it just kind of we'll figure it out as the day goes on, because it was literally the first time in 3 or 4 years since we've all met up like that. And we kind of expected it was going to go the way that it did, where it's just a whole bunch of talking about just whatever, Even Q tried to, get it to a streamlined point where he went around and was asking people, like, how did you get through COVID? And I think we only got through like 4 of like 10 people. So it just, and then at 10 o'clock, he was like, all right, y'all, the meeting is over. He was like, if you want to stay, that's up to you. But at 10 o'clock, the meeting is over. Stephanie was there too. Shout out, Stephanie. Thanks for coming last week. But it was great. So we will definitely have topic conversations moving forward on our last Tuesday at the up at the pavilion. We just didn't have one for last week, so we just kind of kept it really simple and just kind of reintroduced folks, and this is where we are, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is how it's going to go down. And I think it was great. It was hell, we stayed till about midnight, so it was a real good night. But we will be doing it the last Tuesday of every month. And until Brent says we can't go no more, we're going to be up there at the food truck the last Tuesday of every month. Starts at 8 o'clock. We'll go till 9:30, 10, obviously.
Good too.
The food, and he asked me afterwards, he's like, did everybody enjoy the food? I was like, no, they couldn't get off the fish and the shrimp. Like, I brought like a few pieces of food home. But he's going to, so he wants to have like a special Free Thinkers menu for us on our Tuesday. He wants to also be able to do where we can call our orders in, so it's ready. So instead of waiting for everybody there and then place orders and him go back and forth and interrupt the meeting or anything like that, he was like, we'll just do call-in orders, have everything ready, so when y'all get here, it's already been paid for, pick up your food, and y'all go into the pavilion, and then we can start our meeting. So we'll fine tune some of the little tiny things as time goes on, but I think it's a great spot. I think it's a meetup. It's a great
Yeah, I think
opportunity.
the spot was nice. Yeah, it was a nice spot
Good,
too. Good spot,
good,
good
good.
location, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything was good
yeah.
about it.
I mean, it's about as damn central as you can get. You know, it's 183 or it's I-35 and Howard Lane. So I mean, yeah, it's more north, but it's not Round Rock. It's not South Side. It's not too far east, too far west. It's right off of 35. Super fucking private. Like the only people that know that we're there is those of us who are there. So it's very, it's definitely the vibe and the space for what we want to do. And I hope you join us. I think it's April 30th, I think, but whatever the last Tuesday of the month, every month will be, you know, and then we'll figure it out as the summers roll around and it's like hell hot at 9 o'clock what we're going to do or not. But for right now, you know, dress according to season. You know, there are heaters and there are fans, but it is outside. It's enclosed. It's covered. I mean, so there's no bugs. I mean, we should be in good shape, but it is a good time. So thank you to those of y'all who came out last week and participated, supported, joined, shared the event, you know, invited people to come out. Like that's what it's about. And last Tuesday was something I needed way more than I even knew that I needed it. Like it felt like a wonderful reunion. And there wasn't really everybody there, but it felt like it was a fantastic reunion of good
Right.
energy and good spirit. So
I
those
got
of y'all that
messages
have
from a
pushing
couple
us
other
to do
people who
this.
wanted to be there. They said they'll be there next week. A few other
Well, and some people
OG
thought we were
people.
doing it every Tuesday in person. I'm like, no, it's still Tuesdays here. It's just the
Oh, you got to
last
get online.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yep. So back to telling all our business online we go as soon as that last Tuesday is over. But anyways, so that's pretty much it. We got a good topic for tonight. We actually, Q and I we talked about doing this topic at our in-person, but you know, Denise has been a big part of our Free Thinkers family. And, you know, over the last I think even the last 2 weeks ago, we had talked about like this idea of like, how do you break up and break up etiquette? And I was like, oh, let's do it in person. And I was like, we can't do that. It's like, that's Denise's topic too. So we got to wait till we go online and then we'll cover this one online. So I'm looking forward to tonight's conversation, breakup etiquette.
Now, one thing I did notice as well, Nikki, because I saw
Uh-huh.
Denise in our private thread, she talked about how, we did a ex etiquette a
We did,
while
we did,
back
we did, we did.
in 2021. Number one, it's been a while. But then
I
number
know.
two, ex etiquette and breakup etiquette is not the same thing.
I believe that. Yeah, I agree.
It's two different. It's two different things. It's
I
two
agree.
different sets of rules
I
that
agree.
apply for different reasons. So I was like, oh no.
I
This
agree.
this is still gonna be fresh and new.
Well, and you're right. They're not the same. You're right. They're totally the same. And those of us who, you know, people who weren't around in 2021 for this conversation, this is brand
Right.
new for them. So.
I don't remember. I didn't get a chance to see it, so I have no idea what the last conversation was about. And I was about to go back and watch it, but I'm like, I don't want anything influencing my thought
Right. I want
process
it like
right now.
fresh off
So
the dome. Yep.
right,
Yep.
right.
Yep. 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 So breakup etiquette, and I think this just kind of really came from what Denise. We kind of started it off with like, how did you know it was over? Like, when did you know it was over? And then just the last couple conversations, I guess it progressively turned into this idea of the right way to break up. Like, how do you leave somebody? You're muted. No, I'm still muted.
You might have to
There,
check your settings.
yeah, it might be because she was fine just a minute ago.
Yeah, you was talking earlier. I don't know.
She's let me jump off and jump back on. Do you remember
Yeah.
parts of the conversation coming up the last 2 weeks?
What you mean parts of like what led up
Just
to the
like how we
conversation?
came to like this breakup etiquette, like where the idea of like, oh shit, let's cover like how to leave somebody or what's the right
No,
way
I
to
don't know
leave
where it came
somebody.
from. I know we were talking about what was we talking about, like the poking holes and stuff like that. I don't know
That's
where the
right.
etiquette part
That's
came
right.
from.
That's right. We did. Hold on. Why is it
I
not
don't know
working
what
ever?
sparked it. We
Can y'all
probably
hear me?
both pushed it
There
at the
we go.
same
Now
time.
we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all, you know what I think it was? Remember that conversation where the girl was with this guy and he had a 5-year-old and then he kicked her out
Oh,
I think that was kind of
that's
the
right.
yeah. I think
Because she
that's
let the
what
baby daddy claim the kids and she didn't tell him, and like he was the sole provider. That's
That
right.
is right. Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, okay, these things should have been discussed before, or like, what have they been doing the years before? So yeah. I'm so glad you remember. Is there a
So
right way to break
let
up?
me.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
we're
that
gonna figure
is because I forgot.
out. We're gonna try to
So
figure it
let me
out.
go here. I don't think there's one right way to break up, but I think there should be like etiquette. There's certain rules and
Yeah,
there's certain guidelines you should abide by when you're doing things. I don't mean that one way fits all, but there should be certain things that you stay away from, certain things you want to make sure that you do. Like you should just have basic rules and principles, even within a breakup. Like
right.
it shouldn't just be whatever.
I agree.
And let me say this as well. I'm prefacing everything. And this is the part I'm probably going to keep saying throughout this conversation. The way that you break up, it speaks a lot to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the type of person you are. It speaks to your character. So even when you feel entitled to do or say something the way that you feel or want to do it, okay, is that what you feel the representation of your character should be? Just think about it, before that. It don't have to be directly about that person. It's something that needs to be done, and there's certain ways. It's just like another breakup, and we're not gonna get into this, but another breakup is like when you're quitting your job.
Yeah,
You're breaking
the
up,
right way to do it.
and even if it needs to be done, there's certain rules and there's certain ways that you should go about doing it. And there's incorrect ways as well that you can, like, yeah, that wasn't cool. Somebody did that to me one time when I was, it kind of pissed me off because, I was a good manager too. I was good to my people and I treated people good. But, the job that we had doing was tough. Everybody ain't cut out for it. And one of the guys, I didn't say his name, Chase, he ended up turning around getting like, when he decided he was out and he quit, then he really showed his ass and he was doing some real sideways stuff. Like, you wouldn't be talking to me like that if we was just regular.
Oh
Like if it
wow!
was
So
just
he got disrespectful and reckless with you on the way out.
he got.
That's corny.
I'm the representation of the company, so he's
Right.
F all y'all. Blah, blah. I'm like, would you
That's
say
that's
those
why you
same
lost
words to
your
me?
goddamn. That's why you got fired. That's why you got fired.
No, he
all
didn't get
that
fired. He
ugly
quit.
energy.
He didn't get fired. He quit.
Oh, he
I mean, I
quit.
guess another situation.
That's why
But
he quit.
you wouldn't come at me that way under any other circumstance. So it's interesting that you're doing that. But that's some of that type of stuff. That ain't
Right. Let's see who is posting from the account that has not connected their name with StreamYard yet. You can also comment. You can also join the conversation on our YouTube feed, and it will put your picture and your name in here, so we know who we're talking to. Because where you see it say Facebook user, I don't know who that is.
I don't know why that bothers you so much, Nikki. I don't care if I know or not.
It
could be anybody.
It does add context.
No, you don't need the I don't think you need the context. It should stand on its own. I don't want to think about who's saying it. If you're thinking about who's saying it and your answer changes based upon who's proposing the question, then you're not being true.
No. Well, I say no, but yeah, there are going to be some people I would respond to a certain way just depending on who it is. But like, I just like to know who's asking the questions. Keith Davis. Hello, Keith Davis. We appreciate you for being a part of this conversation. And you can always join the conversation live. You don't have to necessarily stay in the comments.
Or in the case
maybe
of,
we should touch that on the end. I like that.
There was one time I'm not gonna say who, I'll tell y'all offline. Somebody's ex came on in the comment section, started in the comment section, and then actually got on the call.
Oh yeah, you gotta tell me that. You're gonna have to tell me about that.
And I was just sitting there like, oh my God.
I think because I'm not putting two and two together for anybody that stands out, that sticks out.
And nobody
Yeah,
knew. And I was just sitting there like, wait, is this person? And I was like, oh my God. And then we were talking about like relationships and breakups. And I think we may have been talking about the ex thing. I think we may have been that episode where they hopped on. And so they were like low key airing them out without airing them out. But the ex wasn't on the call. But I knew who this person was because I seen pictures of them because they talked to me about them, showed me beautiful woman. Like, it was crazy. It was the only time they ever got on the call. Ever.
I know who you talking about. Because we ain't seen him since. He felt compelled to be on that day and ain't been back since. I do remember that. Damn, but it didn't even occur to me that the person was in the chat though. Like that didn't even occur to me.
Denise, put it in the private chat, Denise. I
mean, hey. All right, so let's get into it. Breakup etiquette. Who wants to start? Denise, you said you had a whole bunch of questions.
I got the whole bunch of comments, but go ahead. If you have a question, I have a whole bunch of. I'm gonna be a professor on here. Let me teach you something. Help y'all out.
So my first question that I have is, do you think that warning should come before breakup? Or do you think a person is like completely well within their rights to just, as soon as they feel it, be like, I'm done with it? Or if they feel any inkling of a like, hey, this ain't working for me, this continues, this is not going to work for me, warn them, then break up? Or can you just go straight into a breakup?
I think if you don't warn them or have a conversation and you just bail, I think that's a coward's way out. You leave somebody that you didn't even discuss with, hey, these are my issues, this is the problem, like, can we work on this? Like, how do you leave somebody if you don't address the issues? Now, if we've addressed issues and the shit's not changed, then I can bail, right? But like, to just not address the issue but leave means you've been wanting to leave, in my opinion. You don't want to work shit out. You're not interested in like problem solving with this particular person. It's just an easy way to leave. It's an easy out.
Yeah.
I think warning should come if it can. I think warning should come if it can come. There's some people that lack the maturity to receive what you're telling them ahead of time. And in instances like that, then sometimes it's hard or it's not beneficial for you to even give warning.
Is that an ultimatum?
I'll put it back to the lines of a workplace environment or a job. You know, you got your warning, your written warning, and your final warning. The final warning don't mean you about to get, but the final warning is saying if things continue in the way that they've been going, the next step down this road is termination.
Yes.
So, you know, now, of course, again, there are some instances where you don't get the verbal, the written, and the final. It's just straight out, like depending on what the infraction is, you just go get fired.
Immediate termination.
And let me say it like this, even using that same example, there's sometimes when they'll give you your 2 week severance, there's sometimes, oh, you can finish working out the day. I've had, times, hey, you can finish working out the week, because they knew it wasn't going to be an issue. I wasn't going to start stealing stuff and damaging property. And in most cases, or in a lot of cases, hey, as soon as we had this conversation, somebody had already packed up got your stuff in the box. While we talking right now, somebody else putting stuff in your box. They're going to walk you out the door. But I mean, in instances where if you've built the right relationship, tenure, there's going to be a mutual understanding. A lot of times they'll let you finish out the time, whether it's you saying that you're leaving or if it's them telling you that, we're going to have to let you go. So when you can, then you should. But that's not always possible.
I feel like the only times where it wouldn't be possible is if there's like an abuse issue around, where like me giving forewarning would put me or children in danger. Outside of a physical dangerous scenario. What other scenarios would it not be?
I give you another one because you have, in some instances, you have manipulators. And if you tell them ahead of time, then they'll start trying to twist the story and figure out some type of way to make you, them the victim and you're the one who's the, like, in situations like that and people knew it or they know it, it's like, I'm not even about to go into all of that. And like, I give you another example, like at a previous church that I went to for a long time, it was several people went to that church and things wasn't working out the way for a lot of people. And because of the person or the pastor that they were dealing with, most people just left and didn't say anything. Because they're like, if I say something, if I give them warning and let them know, I know the type of conversations that's going to come. I know they're going to try to guilt me into staying. I know they're going to try to scare me into staying. I know they're going to try to like do a lot of different type of maneuvering in order to get me to stay. Or they're going to, call you a heathen or say something, unfavorable about you in the process.
Wow.
So there's a lot of people who just like, okay, well, did you tell Pastor such a? No, man, for what? What I'm gonna tell you? You know how they will, And even for me, when it was time for me to leave, I did. I'm just different, and regardless of what was going to be said or thought, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be leaving. And I actually gave them, because of everything that I did at the church, I gave them about 3 months. I said, at this particular time after this event, it was like November when I told them, and I didn't leave until the beginning of February.
Damn. You gave a 3-month notice. I ain't never heard no 3-month notice before. I ain't giving no 3-month notice.
Did a lot. I ran sound. I did a lot with music. It was like, I'm telling y'all, so y'all have plenty of time to
find somebody else.
So y'all gonna have to find a lot of people to do what I'm doing by myself. So,
out of curiosity, what happened with that church? Sound like a lot of people left for a lot of ethical reasons. What happened with that church? Is it still around? Is that pastor still there?
Yes, pastor's still around. It's still there. It's just it's not the same way that it was before. I think the church lost a lot of members, lost a lot of. That's a whole different church story, but it kind of, the church is
right.
Just
curious to see how that happened.
Right now. It's not forward moving. It's not really moving forward
right now. Right. Well, but that brings a good point though, too, right? Like if you are a business, if you are an employer, we'll use your pastor reference, right? If you're an employer of any sort and you have a large number of employees leaving, if you have a large number of people who are under you leaving, like if they're not saying something is one thing. If they are saying something, then maybe you have some knowledge as to why they are. But, it would make it should make one sit back and be like, damn, why are all these folks leaving? So when you have a large number of people quitting a job, right, that's usually reflective of staff or turnover or management or policy and ethic, business practice, right? Like it's one thing for one person to leave because they're unhappy, but when multiple people leave and are not saying something, you just wonder, in my business, I would take it personally, right? In my business, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is happening that people are leaving, right? Especially if they're not even telling me what's happening and they're just leaving. And I thought we were good. I thought things were cool. As opposed to
what does that say about you to where people don't feel
brought to your attention and addressing those things?
That's what I'm saying. What does it say about you to where people don't feel comfortable communicating to you that they're leaving?
Mm-hmm. But the downside, I guess, in the same token, is if people are not comfortable enough coming to you and giving constructive criticism or letting you know that there's a problem, that person is probably not really in a position to be in the position they're in because they can't be talked to. They can't have a neutral conversation. They can't have
a lot of bad leaders out there. So many unqualified people in management. I can't tell you how many.
There's a lot of egos in positions of power.
So let me give you my first thing, and then Ivory, Nikki, Denise, you jump in with any questions. This was my first thought as I started writing. Give you 3 Fs. 3 Fs. Okay? First F, you need to be, then this is breakup etiquette. When breaking up with someone, first F, you need to be firm. Be firm. Be firm. Be clear. Don't do the, well, I think we need space and I just don't know where this. What does that mean?
Right.
We need space. No, hey, we're breaking up. I'm breaking up with you. This relationship is ending now. Like and I know Denise laughed, but the worst thing in the world when you start saying,
what are you going
to,
Denise?
saying softball statements, and while you're trying to give these softball statements because you're supposedly trying to make it easier on the person, they're confused. Like, okay, have you ever either seen this in a movie or seen it in real person in real life when a person is saying something and they keep saying it so softbally to the person, like, are you breaking up with me? Like, a person shouldn't need to ask,
right.
Are you
like,
breaking up with me?
Here?
If you make it clear,
yeah,
we're breaking up. I don't want to be with you anymore. I want a divorce. I'm dissolving this. Whatever, you need to be firm and clear.
mm-hmm.
Don't softball it. Number 2, this is the second F. The second F. You need to be final. Don't leave any wiggle room to give the impression that, well, if we would have just did this and if you could have just did that. And this is not the time for that conversation. The time for that conversation has passed. This conversation is about finality.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be vague, you can be specific, whatever, but don't speak a lot of statements that leave doors open to where, if we just could have did this and maybe, I don't know, maybe in the future if we could have. No, this is final, we're done. That's proper. You're actually helping the other person as much as you're helping yourself, but you don't do yourself any favors or you're not being clear and final in your conversation. Don't do the wishy-washy stuff. And then the third F, which is a continuation of the final part. Don't flip-flop. When you make the statement and you stand on the statement, stand on it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call them back the next day. Tell them, hey, I just want to see how you feel and are you okay? That's going to be for their mama to check and see if they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Their mama and their best friend and whoever else. That's not your responsibility at this point in time to check up on them or see what their mental state is and all of that. Don't flip-flop. Don't be like, well, you know what? You feel like getting some, ain't no more talking about that after that. You want to go to the coffee shop and talk? No. Don't do any of that. No flip-flopping. No appearance of, well, maybe after we done broke up, then maybe I'm reconsidering. No, you need to reconsider before you sit down and have that final conversation. If you still having second thoughts, then don't have a conversation yet until you got it through and finished, got the whole process complete in your head. It's ain't nothing worse than somebody breaking up and then 2 days later, that's that old, you do that when you're in your early 20s. You broke up and then now you thought about 2 days later and now you're trying to see if we can reconcile. No. Don't do that. That's poor etiquette. And then you even damaging a relationship further on if you decide to get back together. Now you can damage it's damaged. Because now the person don't know the next time you're going to break up with them again. It's like, anyway, I got a whole lot more, but I'll stop for right now. Those are my 3 Fs. Somebody else can jump in.
Denise, go ahead. I think you're muted again. That's why we're not hearing no laugh back there.
Uh-oh. Did your sound go out again?
I know, it's weird. So while she's logging back in, I think that all 3 of yours, I won't talk too much so she can get her roll on when she logs back in, but I think all 3 of them are the same thing. Be firm, be final, and don't flip-flop. Like they are. It's a 1A, 1B, and 1C to me. Like you have to be confident in all 3 of those things. I think that they're actually all kind of the same.
Yeah, one is more about the confidence, the other is about being specific, and then the last one was like being definite. Like, yeah, stand in it. You just don't waver later on.
But a lot of people don't want to be the one to bring the bad news. A lot of people don't want to be the one to be the heartbreaker. A lot of people don't want to be the one that's responsible for making a decision for two people based on what's best for me. And so they'll waver back and forth. And that's how you get stuck in these fucking situationships that you can't get out of because you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but you'll shit all over your own self because you lack the confidence to do the hard fucking work. If you can be in a relationship, then you got to be able to get out of a relationship too. Go ahead, Denise. I know you was waiting. Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I was laughing so hard because I was like, as the president of the She Want That Old Thing Back committee, like I would hate to have been broken up with by Q. Because there's no way to get back in. There's
That's
no
what
way. Cut you off at the legs. You're done. You're cooked. And so I'm laughing because I'm like, damn, there's no way to get back in there. You're done if you follow the rules.
You got to ask, how many times have I broken up with a person? Like the flip side to that is, if you with Q gonna be with you through thick and thin, and ain't gonna be a bad rough night or a rough week or even a rough month that's gonna be like, all right, we done. Like, I'm gonna stick with you through it.
Right.
So by the time we break up, then, and more likely 99% of the time, you're gonna break up with me before I break up with you, even if you're the one on the with the work that you need to work on. Yeah.
Do you hold people to their breakup?
He does eventually.
Once I have internally accepted that breakup, then even when you're done, I may not be. I still have my own process.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you done, like, oh, you done, I'm done. No, you done, and now I have to process the information that's been given to me, and I have to accept it. That process could take some time. Could take some reflection, whatever the case is. But when I am done, I'm absolutely done.
Got it.
So you may come back another week and want to talk about it. And okay, let's have a conversation. Or if you come back in a week or 2 weeks and I'm past it, then no, we don't need to have no conversation.
Yeah. The 3 Fs. The 3 Fs are definitely very final. Like, I like to go back and forth. That's my whole thing. Like, I want to break up with you, and then
no, Denise, you don't go back and forth with a breakup conversation.
No, ma'am. You pick one damn side. You stick to it.
Now we can have an argument or a conversation or a verbal fight or whatever within our relationship,
right.
And we need to talk this out.
Right.
But we don't put the breakup stuff on the table as a part of it. No, you don't. No.
You don't use that as a weapon. You don't break up as a weapon.
You don't want to use breaking up as a weapon.
Yeah.
Somebody. I've done that before. It's very destructive to your relationship.
That's my jam. I used to do that all the time.
She's like, oh.
It's super destructive because even if, and I have another thing to add to your list, Quentin, but even with me and my husband, like before we got married, we dated for like 5 years. But if I seen any sign like, oh, we don't share this value or this is not going the way, I'd be like, I'm good. We don't got to do this, So he had to kind of go through that for some years with me. So then once we got married, I seen he was avoiding arguments with me. Like avoiding fighting with me. And I'm like, or even like sometime in a relationship. And I was like, why every time we get into it, you shut down? Because every time we used to get into it,
you don't know how to handle it.
Or every time we didn't completely agree or we couldn't come up with a compromise, for you, it was like, well, I'm good.
Right.
And so like, it took me a while to kind of like build back that trust. Like, We can fight. We cannot agree. We cannot come to a consensus. I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, you don't want to use breaking up like that because it will leave some dents in your thing.
You know what? I also have something to add to that. Because I used to do that all the time. I realized too that you don't get taken seriously after a while too. So then there's that version of it.
Oh, that's Denise.
You just run your
never
mouth.
took me
You just bumping
seriously.
gums. You're just trying to be hurtful, and it's not working.
Never took me seriously.
Mhm.
I would break up with him. He would call me the next day like nothing even happened. Like we would just, why is he just having like just the most regular conversation with me?
And
I don't do
Denise,
yesterday.
let me tell you this also. For some people, you'll just turn into a filler for them. Meaning, all right, well, Denise, she break up with me every 3 or 4 weeks. I have no faith in this relationship actually going anywhere sustained. I still love her. I still like her. But I'm going to have my options open. I'm on the look right now. Even while we're together, I'm looking because I know this ain't gonna work. I don't trust this to work long term. If we breaking up every 3 or 4 weeks. So now you just with somebody who's basically waiting until they find someone else that they also like, enjoy, love, and that's going to be more permanent.
Quint, I was also going to add, no fussing. It's over. There is nothing left to fight about.
Oh yes, that's
No
one
fussing.
that I had too. I did have that. I had that one
no
also.
No fussing, no fighting. The person who
that
gets
time
broke
is
up
over.
with normally will try to goad you into a fight. There's nothing left to fight about.
I've already made my decision. Yeah,
you can
this
have
ain't
it.
Even...
You win.
Right.
Every argument we've ever had, you win. You are right.
Okay, here's my question, y'all.
We good.
When is okay? 2 questions. First thing is closure. When is the cutoff window for the closure conversation? And do you think the closure conversation is necessary? Should the closure conversation happen right then and there?
So I want to back up for just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to back up for just a quick second, and I want to talk about the leaving, right? Or the threatening to leave and not leave type shit. Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, the reason why, as a human, I would find that unbelievably offensive to my senses and to my spirit, is because if I say to you, I'm gone, I'm fucking gone. I'm not coming back. So when I get to the point where I've committed in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul, in my fucking body, in my future, that this is not going to go on anymore, it's not going to go on anymore. So for me to get to that place where I've made the decision that it's final, there's no coming back from that. So I can't emotionally tell somebody that I'm going to break up with you, or I'm going to stop fucking with you, or it's over, I'm going to leave you, if it isn't, because I've already put myself through so much emotional processing bullshit to like get them out of my spirit so that I can say I'm leaving, or we're breaking up, or it's over, that's just a dangerous game to play. And you're absolutely right, Q. You get taken less seriously. You know, if you're somebody who threatens to leave, but you really don't fucking leave, it's the same shit that happens in any dysfunctional relationship. You just bark and 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 bark so that you can be heard, and they listen because you're loud, so clearly I can hear you, but you're not going to do shit. You're going to be here when I get home. You're going to wash my clothes. You're going to do that. You're going to pay you're going to do all the shit you usually do. You just run your mouth. There's no changed behavior. There's no dynamic changing between the two of us and whatever our dysfunction is. So for me to get to the place where I'm done, I'm fucking done. And to have to go through so much emotional turmoil internally to get to that place where I've accepted the finality of it, I can't come back from that. So it's interesting to hear people use that sometimes as like a bargaining chip, right? Well, if you don't do that, I'm out the door. And that's cool if you go out the door and you don't come back in that motherfucker, right? But if you go out the door and then you come back in and you act like everything's fine, literally sending the message that you don't stand on business and I don't have to treat you actually the way that you want to be treated because you're not going to do anything. So to the closure aspect, I think everything depends on how the relationship ended, right? Like, and y'all know I'm a firm believer in I don't subscribe to closure in every. I don't. Closure is what works for motherfucking me and me only. I don't owe a person anything. I will do the right thing because I believe in doing the right thing by somebody else. But like closure is how it works for me at that point.
I don't really believe in closure in the sense that another person can say or do anything that can heal a broken heart. I don't.
Right.
My experience
right. What
is,
could I say or do or explain that's gonna
once my heart is
satisfy
broken,
your questions?
I've been there before. Like if it just a certain conversation or a certain word or a certain explanation would like make this not hurt so bad. And then kind of going through that process and realizing nothing will make this. There's nothing a person could say that will make this not hurt this way.
Right.
And so now I get like another person can't give me closure. Like I don't subscribe to people searching out closure from another person. Like you really have to figure a way to heal your own broken heart.
I think, Denise, for me, it's a little, like I said, it depends on depends on the person, but I would say if you can, one of the things I said, number one, we're not having this conversation. We ain't meeting in no coffee shop 2 weeks later to debrief or nothing like that. Not happening. If I can, and this was one of the things that I wrote down as far as etiquette too. Summarize, but don't be nitpick specific. What I mean by that, all of the little small particular things that didn't go right that caused it, we don't need to go into detail about all of those things. If you like, you can summarize. Hey, this is over for me. Overall, the direction that I saw this relationship going, it didn't go there for whatever reason. And if there was a specific reason why you're breaking up, like, yeah, I saw what was in your phone. And that's there. If that's specific, then say what the specific is. But if not, if it was death by 1,000 cuts, don't go over each and every cut. Just at the end of the day, I'm moving in a different direction.
Let me say this quickly, just like really quick story time. This is about closure, right? I dated somebody for like 2 or 3 years in college. And it didn't work out and never really could settle down or commit and all of this stuff. And I was just really hurt. And this is when I learned about closure. And I was just like, oh, if I could just understand why this didn't work. Like I really wanted it to work. And so maybe like a year after it was over,
you said it was high school or college?
He was doing one of Denise's things. He was like, let's make it work now. And I was over that by then. And he was like, you know what? I had a kid the whole time and I didn't want to tell you. And it just put space between our relationship.
Triggered.
Wow.
And so all this time I've been thinking, if I knew the reason, I would be happy. And when I say I was crushed in my soul, like I was looking at everybody like, do I know anybody? Like it threw me.
Right.
So this whole time I'm thinking, if I could just have some closure, if I could just understand. And then understanding was its own thing my mind had to work through. He could have saved me that closure. Okay, that was it. Quick story time.
I have a situation that I went through. I was telling him, I was crying on the phone with him about it a couple of summers ago. I don't know if you ever knew what it ended up being, but yeah, because we had like.
No, you told me. You told me.
But yeah, dude straight up had a baby on me, but we were never like technically together. And it was like it was good for me to know, because it made me feel like, okay, what is it? Why didn't you want to make things official with me, or why is it this, or why is it that? And then come to find out, okay, well, you had a baby with somebody, so you was raw dogging somebody else, and you were feeling serious enough about that situation to put your seed in this individual. And now we're here. You want to be with me now that you have confessed this thing to me. And it was just like a whole whirlwind. But I can't say that I didn't want to know. I definitely wanted to know.
Ooh, he could have saved that closure for me, Denise.
I mean, more than anything, though, I feel like the takeaway from that is, and I was with somebody off and on for a couple years trying to figure out, my shit, right? So I was with somebody for a couple years who was all the things that I don't like, and was all the things that I don't support, right? All the things I don't like and all the things I don't support. They say you repeat what you don't repair.
It was a round earth Republican.
I mean, you start checking off on the fucking list, and pretty much all of them are in there, right? Did I like this person? Of course I fucking like this person. We had great, I mean, there was a lot of things about us that worked wonderfully well, but there was a lot of things about us that didn't. And one of the things that consistently was told to me was that it's never about me. It's always about him. So any fucked up thing he did, or bad decision he made, or shady, like anything that went wrong, he was like, Nick, this is never about you. This is about me. And as a person who's in that relationship with somebody, I hear what you're saying, but then I see something else, and I hear what you're saying, and I see something else, and it's very manipulative. But when you get to the end of it, you realize it really was about you. This wasn't about me. And so even though having a baby on somebody, that's pretty fucking dirty, right? Cheating on somebody, that's pretty fucking dirty. I mean, there's just things, in my opinion, that are just the ultimate dirty, right? It's just the ultimate deception. And as much as it broke my heart many times to know that, like, this person says they care about me, but their actions show different. What I did need to learn about me was what I am and am not going to tolerate, right? But it took me dealing with somebody like that to realize how to fucking say no, how to learn that enough is enough when enough is enough, and that I don't need to see 75 red flags to realize this motherfucker a running red flag. But I did get to finally walk away from that relationship knowing that it wasn't about me. I didn't do anything to make this person be this way. This is who this person is. Had I listened the first 97 times, that he told me, it's not about you. This is me. It's not about you. This is me. So that's the part of the relationship I had to learn in this. So for me, closure is not important. Closure and you don't need closure because, and like I put in the comments, closure is like codependency rearing its ugly head. Closure is that, oh, but I need. No, closure, you need to go sit the fuck down and process how you feel without that person's interference. And yeah, it'd be nice to have closure, but if you don't get it, are you going to die? No, you're going to go on. So just keep on moving. You don't have to have closure. And at the end of the day, what is that closure going to do? Is it going to hurt you more, or is it going to help you? So if you're not offering closure, that's okay. That's about them. That's not about you. This is where serenity prayer has to come into play, right? It does. Because you don't get what you want just because you want it. And I fight that one and had to learn that really, 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 really clearly. Because I thought that if you do all the things the right way, right, you're supposed to get the right things in return. And that doesn't work that way when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't also feel the same way about a relationship. It just doesn't work.
And I was going to say that, and another thing about closure is there are some things that are just shouldn't be said out loud.
Right.
And so I think about like my first high school boyfriend, and when I was breaking up with him or whatever, it wouldn't have been appropriate to say out loud, I thought you were cute when we met, but after spending more time with you, I'm no longer attracted to your face or how you walk or present yourself. You have some confidence issues that just
how
don't
do I find a way to say that?
Like these are not even
right.
They're not even appropriate to tell another human being if you have a heart in your chest. And so what kind of closure could he get from me when it was over?
Right.
Why is this happening?
Right.
It's just not for
Especially
me
if it's
anymore.
not even, it's not even
So it just
constructive.
like we want closure, but sometimes like if a person even has a heart, the things they might need to say that will really explain it.
That's where it goes to. It's not you, it's me. I am not attracted to you. It's not you, it's me. The way I see you is not the way I need to see my partner.
I did have a closure conversation go a good way. Like it was my
I
ex.
think it can. Yeah.
He broke up with me. This was the worst breakup of all time. Well, I don't know if it was the worst breakup of all time.
Of all time.
It was top two. But he like when he came to drop my stuff to me, he brought the new girl. It was like a whole thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a whole, which we're gonna get into that part, please, later. And then like his family turned on me, and I was like, oh my God, you would have thought I cheated on this man or something. This man went and found somebody on me, and you would have thought, you know what I mean? And so him and the girl ended up breaking up, and I was already with somebody else by that time. It was like over a year later, and he like was apologizing to me or whatever. And I can't remember who asked for the meetup. I think it was him, and then I told my current partner. Yeah, I told my current partner, like, are you okay with this? And then, I'm like 20, 21 or something like that. We meet up at the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, this some young
Denise, that's the reason. That's the reason why you don't need to have no prolonged closure meetups. When we broke up, then either if you can squeeze any closure out of that, then you do it now. But we ain't meeting back up later because you ain't gonna be trying to show me. And that, Denise, that is one of my etiquette rules that I wrote. I wrote it down like this. No, how did I write it down? No, that's funny. No to the left situations. Y'all remember that Beyonce song, to the left, and in that song she talking about her new boo already waiting and this and that. No, we not. Don't bring no new boo around and none of this stuff like that while you're closing this off with it. That is poor etiquette, and that speaks etiquette of the person who does it. That's terrible.
Horrible. But me and him ended up talking a year and a half later, something like that. And it was nice. It was a good conversation. My ex is the one who my current was the one who brought me to the mall, and me and him had a conversation, and it was great. And then we became friends after that. So I don't know, like also like look at this person more like a person that I knew, like grew up with, and less of like an ex. Like I don't consider this person an ex, but maybe it's because I was so young. But it was a good conversation. It was a healthy conversation. But I can't.
So y'all went to the mall to have the conversation a year and a half later.
After they did the thing with the girl and the whole thing, I'm like very forgiving. So it's like hard if you actually seem sincere when you apologize to me, I can damn near let anything go. And we ended up having.
I can too, but I wouldn't have gave you my physical presence though.
Right.
Can we meet up and talk sometime? You talking to me right now? You got 5 minutes.
I've probably talked with all of my exes after the fact. I'm normally friends with all my exes for at least 5 years after we broke up.
They were orbiting.
Probably because they all fell off once I got married. I'm like, dang, I thought we was homies. Like everybody clear.
I'm telling y'all about that. Y'all don't be.
And you know what? I was so gullible because you know what makes you gullible is because you start talking about your relationships and you giving them relationship advice, and so you're like, we are really on friend level because why would you call me to talk about your girlfriend and all of this?
No,
we weren't really friends.
Listen,
and then the moment I was like, they will call randomly in that engagement period, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting married this year. And I'm like, oh, okay, good for you. Never heard a peep ever again from any of them. Just absolutely crazy.
No, you can't, because they a lot of times in some situations they don't even know. Like people are conditioned to lie to themselves equally as they are to you. So they can tell themselves that they're your friend, but then when it's actually like friends is all we ever have the possibility of being, then without
Not
even knowing
interested.
it, and without saying it, without doing it, or they just lose interest. But you got to be honest about you really got to be honest. Like, and most people ain't. Like, all right, not to put you. I speak about Denise. I said Denise is just almost my sister, almost like a sister to me. She don't get full sister privileges, but some people get full sister privileges. But you have to be. You don't just say everything off the top of your head like, oh yeah, that's my sister. Like, all right, be honest now. In a certain situation, would this still be your sister in every situation?
Right.
Good proof. If it ain't, then that's like almost your sister. I have certain people like, oh, that's my sister, like 100%. Yeah, some people like, yeah, that's my sister, like 94%.
That's the same
But I'm
thing
not
with
gonna
calling
call
everybody
that.
a friend. That's you know, and
It's
you
true.
kind of put me onto that cue years ago about calling everybody a friend, because everybody that you know isn't a friend. Just because I know you doesn't make you my friend. So
Just because you like them doesn't
just
mean they're
because
your
we
friend.
slept together for years doesn't make you my friend. So that doesn't mean you're going to be my friend later. You're just still somebody I used to fuck with, and we're no longer together anymore. It just sounds nice to call a person my friend because I like to be friendly and I don't have any hard feelings. But are you actually really and truly a friend? Are you reciprocating this friendship, or is this a one-way, what can I get out of you situation?
Right.
Now that's the question. How long after a breakup can you actually decide to be friends with your ex?
Oh, no.
If you
I was just about to
I
say
was
this
gonna
to
answer.
this.
Go
I
ahead.
was just about to say this. This is another one of my etiquette rules that I was just about to get to. You don't have the right to extend or hope for any relationship past what already existed.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not your call.
Yep.
So first of all, don't do that. We can still be friends. If y'all wasn't friends before y'all got together, that's off the table.
That's
You
what I'm
don't even
talking
have
about.
a right to mention that. Now,
Yep.
if you were actual friends before you got in a relationship, you can put that back on the table, but it's up to that person to decide if they want to continue being in the friendship after you cross that friendship line. But you, as the person who's breaking up with them, you don't get say so in that.
Never. You never gonna say so. You ended it.
And not only that, and not just say, because of course we know you don't have full say so because it's up to them, but it's improper etiquette for you to ask or expect or try to persuade that other person to remain friends with you or remain in a lesser form of a relationship.
A
Any of
demotion.
that
That's what you're giving them. You're giving them a demotion and asking them,
yes.
would you stay with my company but get paid less with a lesser title? No, thanks. My feelings are hurt.
Right.
No,
Right.
thank you. I
You
was
don't
gonna
have
say,
that. So.
I would, everybody not with the being friends with the ex thing, but I never had a problem with it. But I can only be friends when I'm completely healed from the relationship, which for me always looked like about 6 months to a year.
Right.
After the relationship, then I could go back into a kind of a cordial friendship, where I never had like really bad, like toxic kind of relationships like that. Normally mine was like a divorce of values. Like we just didn't have the same values. We kind of just didn't live the same life. So we couldn't get on the same page. So I don't think you should be friends with like any relationship that was toxic. Because I don't know how you do that.
Right.
So I didn't have any those type of relationships. So I could be friends with my ex after about 6 months to a year.
Oh, that's not bad.
What is that happened? And I was in a toxic relationship, but it took
Oh,
about
you
a
still
year.
stay friends. You're right.
Yeah, even to the day, very good friends. What says what's he say? What does this say?
There has to be boundaries and
You said
rules
what?
for everything. There has to be boundaries and rules for everything. You know, when you get back into a relationship, even a platonic relationship with somebody that you've been intimate with, there's always going to be bounds and barriers there, you know, and there's going to be things about the two of you that only the two of you know, right? So you have to be very mindful of that. And it's really easy especially if you are in a weakened state and you are not healed and you are lonely and you are, you know, in an emotional space, right? It's very easy to just let that be the comfort blanket, right? The security blanket for the minute. But you've just opened yourself back up to hurt and scrutiny and, you know, pain that you didn't have to, right? So sometimes that, oh, let's be friends later shit, or being able to be friends later shit, it's actually not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not genuine. There's sometimes unsubconscious ulterior motives to why a person is trying to engage in conversation and communication with somebody. You know, I don't have a lot of long-term relationships, but you know, I was trying to think about this as the day went on. You know, I don't have many exes or ex-boyfriends or even dudes I used to fuck around with or whatever that I wouldn't even call like my dude or whatever. But like, I don't really have anybody in my life that I've excluded from engaging in conversation moving forward, right? I just know that if someone's not for me, they're not for me. And when it's over, right? Like whatever happened, happened. You can't change what's happened, but I'll never let you back in. So I think if you yourself don't have strong boundaries set for yourself, and you don't have the disciplined to yourself and to your skin and to your spirit, then you need not re-engage with former lovers, because it's dangerous until you have been able to say, I can be in this person's space and not have an emotional need be desiring to be met, or a physical need be desiring to be met, or a sexual need being desired to be met. Because if you're engaging with somebody that you've been sexual with before, with just the idea of, oh, we're just going to talk and have coffee. Okay, well, that's cool. But is that really, 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 really what it's about? Are you doing yourself any favors, and are you doing them any favors?
Question.
It's just very dangerous.
You got to know yourself. You definitely
You
have to know
do.
yourself. I agree with that. I'm
Question.
kind of like
Question.
quitting. I flip a switch at a certain point. That's why I said being
Question,
healed.
Huguenot?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought y'all couldn't hear me. Yeah, have y'all gone over I guess the segment which is part of the what y'all discussing in regards to being friends or with someone that you have a child with and y'all had a breakup? Have y'all gone over something like that as far as like
Not yet.
have y'all gone
No,
over that?
not yet.
No?
Not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
But
No,
yeah, the
when a
rules
child
of
is
engagement
involved,
are
it's-
different.
Go ahead, Denise.
How?
Because I feel
I
like
don't think they need to be much different. But go ahead.
well, I mean, if you have kids with somebody and y'all gotta raise this child, I think it would probably be better if y'all were friends as opposed to like business partners or whatever it is. 50-50 business
It's
partners.
only different because
Yo, hey,
in that
Denise,
life to some degree.
Yes.
Denise, that's funny how you say business partners, because that's exactly how I feel when it comes to co-parenting. It's a business relationship because you
It
guys
is.
don't talk like you used to anymore. You got these stipulations in place, and it's nothing but a transaction, but it's involving another human being, and some of it is money. And to your point, that's exactly how I feel as far as the relationship between me and my ex is that this is a business transaction. There's no friendship there. We don't get together and have a few drinks or do the little play date thing or go to each other's houses and do whatever. Just not feasible. After a bad breakup or whatever the case may be, it's just more so of a business thing than anything as far as no friendship being in the mix of that. So I can agree with you on that one. I'm glad you said that though.
Can I ask you
It's
this?
not even business for me. I've been in business with people before, and we actually sit down, come together, and find ways to agree. So I can't even call it business.
Yeah.
It's business. It's poor business. What you saying, Denise?
I was going to ask, for those who have exes that they have children with, if you are not friends with this person, would you prefer a relationship? Do you think it would be easier for you if you all were friends, or do you think it would be more difficult? And what are the reasons why? What are the pros
I'm
and
gonna
cons to being friends?
I'm going to use the court's lingo here in regards to that. In the best interest of the child, because if the two parents are bickering or battling or fighting or warring over each other, the only person that's going to get hurt in the end is the child.
Yeah.
The child, at a certain point of age, doesn't have any say so until they're able to reach the adolescent phase, where they're able to voice their opinion or voice how they feel. But it's for the best interest of the child for the two parents to coexist, or at least have some type of camaraderie in regards to the co-parenting phase, because you're no longer together, so you got to find a way to coexist, but it's for the child per se. So that is the insurance policy in regards to being friends with somebody that you have a child with. Now, of course, if a child is not in the picture, then boom, you're split. There's no, reconciliation there, unless you still have feelings for this individual, and then y'all can reconnect like y'all on All American or something. However, in the real world per se, in that type of situation, my opinion, you do what's in the best interest of the child, as far as having some type of relationship there, to where it's not feeling like it's a business transaction.
Yeah. Q?
No, it's definitely better if you are friends and if you can get along. Just basic conversation flows better. And when you are friends, then you hooking on back to what you're saying, best interest of the child. When you are friends, you can truly, purely, and freely make decisions on what's in the best interest of the child. When you're not friends and there's pettiness and leverage involved and people doing things to make a point and to try to upend or undermine the other person, then there's a lot of things that happen that oftentimes to the detriment of the children. And even friction itself is not really good for the children. That's not optimal. You want your children to see their mother and father being able to get along. So it's definitely better on all phases when that can happen.
I have another question.
Sure.
And Q, you've lightly talked about this before, but breakup etiquette when there are kids involved that are not your biological children. What is the breakup etiquette? Q, if you're breaking up with a woman, you break up with her, do you ask her for permission to have a conversation with children? Or in the case of Nikki, you have children. If you break up with someone, do you give them the opportunity? Or if they were to break up with you, who sits the children down and talks to the children in this situation? And is it even a conversation?
I mean, if they would grant you permission to have that conversation, then I think that would be better. But if
as a group,
let me go in at the queue real quick, because something came up. Go ahead.
That will probably be the best. But if you can't, and whoever's child or children they are, then you just got to go by them. Well, okay, no, I don't want you speaking to them. You can go and leave now. All right, you got to leave. and I'll be honest, that was the hardest thing that I dealt with. It wasn't because me and my ex, we were very toxic, but to be away from those kids was super, super hard for me. And that's one of the reasons, even up after that point, I'm like, I don't think I want to date anyone that has kids anymore. Not because they have kids, but if it don't work out, you ain't just breaking up with that person, you're breaking up with the kids too. And that's very tough when you love kids.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you hooking on. I'll go after you.
Yeah. On the flip side of that coin, if there is a breakup with somebody's kids that is not yours, there could be a silver lining there, because you could build a relationship or a bond with those children that are not yours, and they feel that you're either a father figure or mother figure to them, And that's what it's all about when you're dealing with children. It's that relationship that you have with them. Because children want to be loved, and they will let you know. Because I work with children, they will let you know if you love them or not, or if you give a damn. If they know you don't give a damn, they're gonna be rebellious. But if they know or see or feel that you give a damn, they're gonna connect. They're gonna have that bond. Therefore, if there's a breakup and you have a bond or with the child that's not yours, I think that can be, if the mother is mature enough to allow that relationship to continue rather than cut it off because y'all had a bad breakup. If you want to express or hone in what's in the best interest of the child, or in this case, for those of you parents, want to see your children happy, because that relationship can have an effect on them because the bond was there and now is no longer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in a situation where, like, before I had my boys, so like my Cash's biological dad, he had a child when we got together, and that was my baby, right? Like when I met him, his youngest was 2, and let's see, Cash is about to be 28, so her brother is, I think he just had his 30th birthday. He's still in our life. When I was pregnant with Kasha, the reason I'm not with her biological father anymore, Kasha's got a sister who's 3 months younger than her. She's still in my life. Like, she calls me mom. Wow. She's about to be 28 years old too, right? She's, so now to the flip side, my son's my son's father, he had a daughter when we met, and some shit went down between him and his ex when they officially separated. And after some time, some shit had popped off in our relationship and he had to go away for a while. We've never seen her since that day. The mom took her, disappeared, and took her from the only family that, like, she's ever known, which was my ex's family. I mean, like, literally from the day she was born till she was about 5 or 6 years old, they lived with my former in-laws. And so that was really fucking hard for probably the first 4 holidays. Every holiday, I would buy Christmas presents, Easter presents, hoping that one day we'd see her and we'd give them to her. That experience taught me that, I didn't plan on being single again. Like, I didn't think I would not be with my children's father, right? So what it did teach me, becoming single now and having been single for pushing 8 years, I don't mingle my children in my personal relationships. It's been almost 8 years now, and my daughter's older. She's 28. She's met one other guy, one dude that I dealt with off and on for a little bit. And that was after a long time of dealing with him. But like, my boys have never, I mean, I don't date anyways, but my boys have never met another man. They've never been in those situations because I didn't want to put them through that. If a guy decided that, him and I were not going to be serious, I don't want to fuck with your kids. Or if I can't have you, I don't want to deal with your kids. Like, you cannot go into a situation dealing with somebody with children and not take those things into consideration, because you do become a fixture for those children. You do become a comfort zone for those children. You do become a part of their life. And if you're a good person, they deserve to have you in their life. But unfortunately, too often what you see is the bitter parent, the one that's hurt, the one that's upset, the one that's in their way, using the children to hurt the other person. And back to what you said in the very beginning, the only people that end up paying the price is, of course, the kids that are in these situations. So, I think that when it comes to breaking up and having children, unless you're bitter and vindictive, you owe it to your children to let them still maintain those relationships with, a partner that you brought into their life. And who doesn't want their kids to have more love, right? The more sound adults, the more responsible adults, the more good adults you can have around your child. This is your village. It is absolutely okay to let exes be around your children that, you know, that aren't their children, and vice versa. But, you know, I've seen a lot of my friends who have been in situations where they refuse to date people with children because they've been so, you know, hurt in situations where they broke up with somebody who had kids, and now that is not going to let, you know, this person see the kids anymore. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, but vindictive people are literally vindictive people. That's just what they do. So I don't engage. I don't entertain. You know, I'm very particular about who's around my children. You know, throughout the course of these 8 years being single, I would have loved for there to be a powerful, responsible, you know, principled, solid fucking Black man that my sons could look up to. But that's not happened, right? So you have to be very conscious and conscientious about who is around your children, because when it's over, if that's not their bio, you can't dictate which direction that goes. And the last thing you want to do is see your fucking kids hurt over adult people shit, you know? So please, if you have children, please let them people who have also loved your children with you continue to love your children, and let those kids have this other good, responsible adult that they can fall back on. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. He came over and he was going through some shit with it's like his stepdaughter, but it's the daughter that he raised. It's not his biological, but he's raised this little girl. And she's a teenager, and so they're having some issues at home. And, you know, mom had a former partner, and so daughters wanting to go run away to former partner, and mom's like, no. And boyfriend's like, but you gave him permission to be parent for a long time. You can't just take that away. And the only time you can take that back is when they're in a dangerous position. Otherwise, if that person is not going to hurt your children emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, in any type of way, let them fucking love your kid. They give them something you can't. And it's okay, but so many people use that as a weapon, use children as the weapon, and it's so destructive.
On the positive note to your example, Nikki, you guys heard the expression. I just forgot it just like that. I was about to say an expression that it's often used all the time. Now I'm having a brain fart where I can't get it out. It takes a village. There it is. It takes a village.
Yep.
So when you let certain individuals in your life, and I'm not just saying you, I'm speaking in general terms in regards to those who have children or whatnot, let certain individuals in their life, and they've built that bond, they built that camaraderie with the other children, helped you raise them in a sense, and now there's an attachment there. That you can look at it from that perspective, as far as you know, that village concept, as far as helping to raise a child that's not yours. Right. So I mean, there's a positive side to that in regards to that, but unfortunately you have some vindictive adults who can't seem to get out of their own way and humble themselves and know, even after all of the years of raising children, it's not about them.
What are the boundaries when it comes to being an ex and having children with someone and dating someone new, in terms of bringing them around your kids? Do you feel like you should have to be able to meet this person first, or do you feel like I at least need to know this is going to happen before it happens? Like, what is the etiquette around someone?
What do you mean by that?
Like, if your ex was dating someone new and was about to bring them around the kids, do you feel like you're owed to know this?
No.
Oh.
No, you're not owed. You would, in a perfect world, if you act right, and you're respectful, and
you're part of the conversation
well with that person, and you're, I would say, friendly, if not friends, at least friendly, then you would hope that the lines are open enough to where they can introduce you, or that they can have that conversation with you, but you're not owed anything.
Well, and I think Q, I think a lot of this gets into for exes with children. It's a fucking battle of control. It's a battle of who's got the bigger stick. The battle of who wins. It's the battle of, I'm going to use these kids as a weapon. And generally, since moms have custodial, care over most children in most situations, it's what can I do to inflict the most amount of fucking pain on this man who broke my heart? And I'm going to use these children, right? And that's the really dangerous part, right? But dating with children, no, I don't think you're obligated to know those things. But I think that this also goes into your emotional maturity, right? Like when me and my kid's dad split, I didn't leave with the expectation of I'm going to try to be another man really quickly. It was, bitch, go sit down and go breathe and heal and figure out all of the last 20 years of your life. You need some peace and some happiness, right? You need some security for these children. Like, your children are supposed to be your motivation for getting better, right? Not running to the next bed and running to the next human and just, more in suitcases and whatever, right? But I knew that there was, it was probably going to be him seeing somebody before he's seeing somebody. And sure enough, he did, and he's been with the same lady for quite a few years. If you don't trust your partner to keep your kids safe, you got way bigger fucking problems than who they date, right? I know that no matter what happens between me and my kid's dad, my children will never be in danger. Not from a girl that he's with, or not from a situation that he puts them in. They'll never be in danger. Yeah. And he wouldn't bring anybody around the kids that I would have an issue with, or there would be an issue, right? Yeah. So I have to trust that he's going to make a good decision by them. And if he doesn't, that's still, I can't do shit about that. That's going to have to be the bed that he lays in, and the situation that he grows with his children as they get older. Now, as long as they are not being hurt in any way, then that's the relationship you just have to let them have. If there's issue with, emotional abuse or sexual abuse or physical abuse, then what I say goes. And we can go to court. I don't think you want to do that, but we can do that, right? Okay. But I don't think you're obligated to know about this person's past. Now, it may be nice to know who they are so you can run a background check and make sure that, you don't have a convicted sex offender or, somebody who's got some unsavory criminal behavior around your children, right? Okay. But you're not obligated. You're not entitled to know, who they're with. They're not yours anymore. Those are your children, but those are their children too. Yeah. And that's the tough part that a lot of people have a hard time with. These my kids. No, they're not. They're y'all's kids. They're his too. They're hers too. You don't have to like what they do, but you're gonna have to figure out how to live with that. Yeah.
So, you said one that's on my list, but I'm gonna save that one just for a second. Let me give you a couple more on my list of breakup etiquette.
What is it?
A simple one.
Oh.
Breakup etiquette. Simple one. Never make a final decision purely through hearsay.
Oh yeah. I've done that.
That's
come to find out that the motherfucker was accurate anyway. So, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but then it was true anyway. So, it worked out.
And let me even say it a step further than that. Not just because the story may not be entirely true, but also, you want to at least ask the person, let them speak for themselves.
True.
But then not only that, if you break up purely from hearsay, there's a good chance that you won't be settled inside of yourself with your own decision.
Mm-hmm. Because you never knew
what someone else had, and you never, exactly. You didn't take the time to really dig in and have a conversation and really truly find out the ins and outs. You just took somebody else's word for it and ran off with it. Bad idea. Okay, here go another one. And this is in the form of a question. Have you reconciled your irreconcilable differences? So you hear people talk about, irreconcilable differences just ain't working out, this and that. like Iyanla said, did you do your work on before you decided to exit out and break off this relationship? Did you evaluate? Did you look at some of the areas where you could have improved and you could have did and said some things differently before you decided to break this off? Did you reconcile your irreconcilable differences? Because if you get back to the, like I'm preaching now, if you get back to the root words of anytime anything is reconcile, reverse, reciprocate, there's a shifting in energy, which is oftentimes can create something reciprocal. So what I'm saying by that is, if you start reconciling your issues and you started off, who's to say that your acknowledgement and fixing of your bad behaviors won't help clear up some of the things that you saw faulty with them as well? Somebody, if you're talking about reciprocation, somebody got to start the cycle. And if you never took the time to work on yourself first, then you can't. It's sometimes it's hard to truly know that. Is it just that person, or are we caught up in a cycle that keeps going round and round because we're practicing the same toxic behaviors with one another? If one person breaks that toxic cycle, then maybe there can be healing and reparation within the relationship as a whole. But you won't know that until you start on your work first. So that sounds like but that's the other part on that. So think about that. I got a couple more, but anybody else want to jump in? We got a few minutes left before we go.
You said, have you reconciled with your irreconcilable differences? I think sometimes
so it's more of a play on words, because you hear people talking about they have irreconcilable
differences, right?
But did you reconcile within yourself your own issues before you came to that conclusion that we have irreconcilable differences?
Right. So
ain't that the primary reason for divorce? When somebody they divorce because of irreconcilable differences, or is it something else?
No,
like,
that's the play on words that I'm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, go ahead, Nikki. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
I just think with some situations, I mean, the inner work obviously is the most important part, right? The inner work is where all the work happens, right? But I think when it comes to irreconcilable differences.
Oh, you're tongue-tied.
I know, right? Sometimes you just have to make peace with this is what it is, right? Some things are not going to, you're not going to be able to reconcile some things because some things just are not going to sit on your heart spirit right. They just are what they are, right? But that doesn't mean that they still have to have power over you. You know, a lot of people, of course, talk about forgiveness and how forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for yourself. I don't subscribe to forgiveness in that aspect, but I understand why people say that. So this is the perfect time that you put forgiveness into play, because you can't change how somebody behaves, and you can't let it eat you up forever because they're not changing, or they're not seeing things, or they're not, you don't subscribe to the same theories. So at some point, you just have to let bygones be bygones. At some point, you just have to let it go. At some point, you have to serenity prayer this away, and it just is what it is. And I think at 45, almost 46 years old, that's probably been one of the greatest powers I have found myself in over maybe like the last 6 to 8 months, is that it's just okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay for us to just agree to disagree. We don't have to come to peaceful terms with all things, because all things are not going to be peaceful. That doesn't mean we have to be at war, but we don't have to agree. We can just be in disagreement with things, but it's how much power does that disagreement still hold over my operating? And as long as it's fucking zero or very, very minimal, then you've reconciled within yourself whatever that hurt is, or wherever that hurt came from. But I'm very much okay with just accepting people for who they are, and that is just literally who they are.
The key word,
and that's how I operate within them.
But it's sometimes, not all the times, and it's easy for you or anyone to make that decision after they have done their own work within themselves. One of the main reasons that I found that a lot of people do the break up and get back together and break up and get back together
Because it's comfortable.
Because both of them are bullshitting to a degree.
Sure.
And it's easy when you break up to then have hindsight regret. Be like, man, you know what? I could have did more of this. I should have did more of this. I should have changed. I really didn't have to respond this way. I don't know why I still got the. And so we look at all of the faulty things, not faulty things like human fault, but the things that, you know what? I could have done things. It was within my power to make some better decisions, and that regret comes in, and then that's when you get people always wanting to let's try it again for a second, third, and 14th time. But when a person really does their work, when a person really like my issues, I've dealt with my issues, I fixed it, I'm looking at, I self-evaluate all of these things, and you come to a place of peace. Like, you know, everything that you could do, you're doing it. And now you're able to see things that's biblical right there. You talk about the mote in somebody else's eye. Get the beam out of your eye first.
Did someone say biblical?
I say that at least every episode at least once. So once you clear what's out of your eyes, then you can clearly see the situation much clearer to know if this person actually has a beam, or was it just I wasn't seeing things clearly because of my vision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You don't know that until you do your work, though.
Are we talking about a speck in somebody else's eye and taking the speck out of your own eye? Is that what you're referencing? Is that what you're referencing?
Speck in the beam. Get the beam out of your eye. You can see the speck in somebody else's eye. Is actually how it's said. Inferring that most of the time your own issue is the bigger stumbling block than what you perceive the other person's is, but that's a different conversation.
No, I totally agree. I can say that what made me realize that in my last relationship, where I was the problem was like getting into other relationships and dating other people and them saying the same thing. Sometimes it's hard to hear from someone who has hurt you or whatever. You're just like not trying to hear nothing they have to say because you feel like, or at least I used to feel like anything that they did, I was just reacting to. So I wasn't really taking responsibility for what I did. I'm like, I'm reacting to what you did. I'm acting like this because of what you did, only to find out that I would just go and start dealing with someone else and they tell me the same thing damn near verbatim. And then I'm sitting there like, I've heard this before. I'm like, oh, I got to bring this up in therapy because obviously.
She's going to bring it up in therapy. Yeah. That's the best place for it, too.
The third time I'm getting this feedback. Like, I think it's me now. And so I was able to go
Denise,
and work.
Go ahead.
And sometimes, Denise, it is us. It is us. Sometimes it's us. It is.
Yeah. And
so I was going to say also, just piggybacking off of you, Denise, you got to ask yourself, how is it if someone brings something to your front plate and say, hey, this is an issue? How is it somebody can bring something to you and it's news to you? Like you never heard it, you never noticed. So it's one or two things. Number one, they are completely wrong, just totally off base. Or number two, you're not self-assessing.
Yeah.
Most of the time somebody brings something to me, it's confirmation of what I've already been noticing. I'm like, yeah, dang. By the time they said it, like, I've been telling myself for the last few months, I need to pick this up, or I need to do this, or I need to, like, nobody should be able to tell you anything about yourself that you haven't already been contemplating.
Right. Not at 40, but pushing 40.
If somebody can tell you something about you and it just totally blindsides you and is news to you, either they're completely off or you're not self-evaluating.
Yeah.
It should be hard to tell you something that you haven't already been telling yourself.
But that's denial, though, and that's the dangerous part that keeps people in those cycles where they don't hear what is being said because I don't want to hear what you have to say to me.
Yeah, don't want to accept it for whatever reason.
I think, if I may, I think a lot of people can't accept the criticism or the constructive criticism that they receive. Or if they do receive the criticism, it's a little bit unbalanced, especially when all you see is the negative in somebody, but yet you don't acknowledge the positive things that they do. And a lot of we have that habit of finding something, a fault in somebody, pointing it out. You need to fix this, you need to fix that, whether if you acknowledge it or not. But it doesn't balance out on the flip side of that in regards to, okay, what positive or good things have they done? And that kind of puts people in a position to not want to hear the criticism because that's all they receive on a day in and day out basis, and it takes its toll over a course of time. Even if you hear from one or two or three people and they're saying the same thing, so it's always good to be acknowledged for certain things that a person does to make them feel, at least I'm doing something right. Okay, I acknowledge that. Let me change this. Let me work on that, this, that, and the third. And I'll end with this because Q mentioned about the Bible. One thing that I learned about the Bible is that it talks about self-examination and not just on the once in a lifetime type of deal or once in a blue moon. No. Self-examination on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So once we get to the humility of doing that, I think, a lot of people will have a much more smoother chance of dealing with other folks or even with themselves for that matter. As far as the relationship, I'll just say it run a lot more smoother as opposed to it being on rocky terms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off what Yukanon is saying, I totally agree. Sometimes it's about the approach. If someone is only really talking to you when they're complaining about something you're doing, or maybe instead of starting the conversation with you need to do this better, you start the conversation off with, hey, I've noticed that you've made changes here, here, and here, and I like that, and I see the growth, and da 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 da. But also this thing is just a better way to have certain conversations. So I agree. Like sometimes just, and then I think another thing is also like depending on how you grew up and how you received them when you grew up, and like if you did something wrong, what was that like? Were you automatically, did you get whoopings? Were you grounded? Were you talked to? So maybe you just don't even want to be in a situation where you're wrong, because being wrong or not doing the right thing or needing to improve on something could mean some sort of punishment for you. So I think it's just like taking the time to be aware of why you may have like a adverse reaction to criticism, and then also being able to let a person know, hey, if you're going to talk to me about this would be the best approach for me to actually hear you out and really listen to you. I need you to talk to me like this. That's something that I've learned in the last, 6 or 9 months, where I just need to say, hey, if you want me to hear you out, if we want this conversation to go right and me not to feel like this, because I'm feeling like this, and that may not be your intention, but because you said it this way, this is how I feel. And also being able to communicate, this is what I need you to do in order for us to move forward and have better conversations and, and grow from this. So there's just like a lot that comes with just having that self-awareness, knowing what you need, knowing what you need to improve on, knowing what triggers you, being able to communicate that properly without being upset. So yeah, emotional maturity for sure.
As I'm sitting here listening to you talk, I can only think about, Denise, how many less breakups could there possibly be had we done all of this work right before we fucking decided to jump into these relationships, right? Like, but I think that's the glory of wisdom and getting older, right? And learning how to not do things because you fucked them up already. Like, oh, there is a right way to do certain things, But but you made a point about how you grew up, and I talk about this a lot on here, that a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us came from really dysfunctional households where communication was not effective. It was just it was a controlling environment. It was a you do as I say environment, right? it wasn't a redirective even type of scenario. So if a child spilled something, it was just a fucking knee-jerk reaction, whoop your ass, not, hey, let's put the cup, on the center of the table so that if, we bump it, it doesn't knock off. It's just a constant ridicule, a constant punishment. And so all you're taught is fear. You're taught how to hide. You're taught how to sneak. Taught how to lie. You're taught how to read energy and emotion from people, so you know how to manipulate. Kids are so fucking smart. But the downside is that we take these things into our whole entire adult life. Like these are normal traits. This is normally how this is supposed to happen. And then because most of us come from dysfunctional families, and that doesn't mean that they're bad families. There's just some fucked up stuff within them, right? Then we meet somebody else with a dysfunctional family system and some fucked up family system. So you got two dysfunctional people who really don't know how to communicate, who don't know what love language is, who are so fucking afraid to be vulnerable and transparent and hurt that I'm just going to be angry, defensive, and mean and aggressive. And if you don't like it, well, then you can leave me. What the fuck? Everybody leaves you. This isn't working for me. I got to try something different. So going to therapy, learning how to talk to people. I had a friend of mine reach out to me this weekend, and he was struggling with how to have a conversation with his significant other. And what he was saying was the right things, but how the fuck he was saying it was all the wrong way. I was like, God, you can't talk to a woman that way. You can tell me how you want to talk to her.
I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah,
yes,
tell
I
me
did.
how you want to talk to her, then let me try to help you find some soft ways to still be very direct, but not so fucking so aggressive.
Boy.
I said,
you talking to me, Nikki.
I said, a king is found in the way that he controls his mouth. Not what he does, but how he controls his mouth. And he just sat there and he looked at me like, are you fucking serious? Abso-fucking-lutely. How you say things makes all the difference. You're going to hear things differently. So you can chastise me and I'm going to receive it way different. If you speak to me in a manner which is not reckless, which is with love intended, as opposed to, I've upset you, so now you have to respond with anger. Or I've upset you or disappointed you, so now you have to respond with, frustration and whatever the case may be. So it is super fucking critical to know your love language, one, and two, your partner's love language. And they may not always match, but you have to learn how to effectively communicate, because, that's like one of the number one reasons why people break up is fucking communication. Too afraid to have conversations and not willing to have conversations. Or unable to have conversations emotionally.
Yep.
Hey, Nikki.
Yes.
You should be a preacher. I'm just messing with you. Hey, yo,
let me see my paper on the wall with my credentials. That's all I need. I'm fine with that.
Well, I can relate to you on that last part in regards to what you was telling your friend as far as like the delivery.
Yeah.
When you talk to a woman, and I had to learn that the hard way. But I was able to adjust though. So I had to humble myself, because the way I was coming at my wife, I had to sit back and like, yo, I'm being a little too rough. And she was telling me that the delivery is a little, it made her feel a certain way. So what I had to do is I had to create an atmosphere. And this is the question I didn't get the answer. I think when Denise asked the question, I had to create an atmosphere that put us both in a vulnerable state to where we can talk to each other and hear each other out and not bicker or argue. And when I say it worked wonders, it works wonders when you speak to the men that have a woman and they speak to her in a way that is not abrasive or rough, is more so vulnerable. She'll open up more and be able to communicate with you more when you come to her with that approach. Free game for those who are paying attention. Another thing I want to bring up in regards to the criticism is a concept that is rarely practiced amongst our peer groups whenever we are in a relationship or on any level. Is positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
It is rare. It is rarely practiced. It is rarely used. But if positive reinforcement is used just as much, if not more, of the criticism, there will be, in my opinion, longer lasting relationship as opposed to a lot of breakups. I'll end with that.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and I have to agree with everything you said, Yuhukanan. Like, for the men who are listening, what he's saying is absolutely 1000% true. When you speak to a woman and you are tender with her, like, woman, we don't want all that rough shit. Like, not in the aspect of conversation. Like, we are delicate creatures. No matter how much we try to buck on you and curse you out and act like we would prefer not to be like that. So you can be soft with us and treat us like the delicate flowers that we are. Trust me, you will have a much better life.
I'm gonna say though, real quick, I'm gonna have the fellas back on this one though. Women, if you want to be treated as such, you better act that way as well. Buck on man.
Yep.
You don't buck on no man. You don't swing on no man. You don't cuss no fucking man out. You don't call him no bitch. You don't call him no hoe ass, this, that, and the third. You will get left. And ladies, you don't get to come back when you treat a man like that. If he spoke to you in that manner, it would shatter you, and you would call him every name in the book. So that's my thing when it comes to like respect and conversation and communication and comprehension is I'm not going to be reckless to you. Do not be reckless to me, because if I take that off of the table, I'm gonna come for blood. I'm gonna go to your center, and I don't want to do that. That doesn't bring me enjoyment. But that nasty shit is in all of us, right? So this is where the control and the discipline about what comes out has to be really critical, especially in a relationship situation, because some shit you can never put back. Nope. So just think about how you want to be spoken to. If you don't like, and especially in the relationship dynamic, if you didn't like your parents jumping on you 24/7 and, and telling you this and telling you that, but never explaining things to you, or never showing the right way to do it, or never giving the positive reinforcement, right? Or the re-guided behavior. Like, you can't expect that that's going to work with your adult partner relationship. You have to realize, I don't know how to communicate effectively. Sure, I can talk and I can yell. Nobody listens when you yell. Nobody listens when you're reckless. Nothing is being heard except fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, when you're speaking down to somebody as opposed to talking into somebody. Like, how you communicate and how you hear is absolutely based on your delivery and your energy doing those things. You can still be just as firm, but still being respectful and, a controlled voice, a controlled tone. And that doesn't mean that you have to, beat around the bush and, be all fluffy if that's not who you are. No one's saying you have to be somebody, but if you want a lasting relationship with somebody and your communication style is really shitty, you're not going to have that person around. Your kids aren't going to want to fuck with you. Your partner's not going to want to fuck with you. You are not emotionally safe. So if you don't create an emotionally safe space for people to engage with you, they're not going to engage with you. They'll just deal with you until they don't have to anymore. Your kids turn 18, they leave, they don't fuck with you. Your kids turn 18, they're done with school, they're done with college, they're on with their life. Your partner now leaves because now they're ready to go explore some happiness since they've stayed for the children. And here you are, 40, 50 years old, having to restart with this nasty, bitter, aggressive, argumentative, verbally abusive, possibly physically abusive mentality. You're fucking popped. Get this shit now, today. Fix this today. We ain't got time, man. There's so many beautiful relationships out there that are just being pissed away because of ego and fear and fuck up breakup etiquette. Like, I want to make up etiquette. You know what I'm saying? But there is a way to properly end a relationship without causing more pain to the person that you're leaving.
Hey, Nikki, I got something for you.
While we're talking about that, hold on a second. Let me go ahead, you can.
When you're talking to a woman in a certain way, you're investing in her. And before anybody say this, I'm gonna take these words right out of your mouth, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't find it. I think it's very distasteful when I hear women talking crazy reckless to men because they can. Let that man put his foot in your fucking mouth, and I bet you won't do that again. And I'm not saying that that's what he should do. but he could. As reckless as some women are, thinking, oh, I can just say however I feel and whatever I think because he's not going to do anything. That's why do love isn't hurt. When you love somebody, you don't hurt them. When you love somebody, the intention is not to be hurtful to them. You actually try to find ways to not hurt them. How do I still have a conversation with this person and not be hurtful? How can I craft my words to still be respectful? Some people have completely missed that altogether. Some folks don't want love. They just want a person. And that's what you got to figure out. Are you wanting love or do you just want a person? And if you just want a person, then stop saying you want love because you aren't even capable of giving or receiving. So no, maybe those people don't have breakup etiquette, but I think that healthy people definitely have breakup etiquette, DK.
So yeah. I'll put you on game. Just follow me right here. I'll put you on game, DK. As well. Couple more. Breakup etiquette. No special locations. Don't take them to your favorite restaurant or special treat that you went to break. That's improper.
Oh, that's raggedy.
People will do. I'm saying that.
Did you see Edward? Edward asked a really good question too. Where'd it go up here? He said, which breakup is worse? A romantic relationship breakup or a friendship breakup?
Romantic, because you're not getting sex out of that anymore. It's compounded.
You can always get more. You can always get more sex.
And not only that,
but the intimacy will leave.
You can always get more. You can always get more intimacy.
But even not only that, I was saying that slightly joking, but it just makes it when it's different types of emotions involved when we talk about romantic. And not only that, even in most cases, it's not a steel door being shut closed when it comes to friendships. In most cases, unless one person dies, there's always a possibility for that door opening back up. So you don't look at it like it's complete, final, never to reopen again for most people. It's through time, whether it's 6 months, 2 years, 4 years, depending on what happened, then we can still bring this back. And on top of that, it's not predicated on me being single in order for us to be, because romantically, if we break up, there's a whole lot of stuff got to go back right for us to ever get back together. Not only do we have to fix our differences, but we also both have to be single and available in the right mind space at the same time for us to ever even get back together.
Right.
Friendship, whenever we both get our head right, I still got all my friends and you got all your friends. We can still be. It doesn't have to be an exclusive thing. So it's just a lot easier to reconcile friendships than romantic relationships.
But we ain't talking about reconciliation. We're just talking about the breakup piece.
Well, I'm saying the breakup makes it harder romantically because it's typically more final than a friendship is. Even when you break up
and you are more invested,
friendship, then it doesn't have to be, or it doesn't always feel like it's final. Until somebody dies, you don't feel like, I ain't really messing with them.
See, for me, I'm glad you said most people, right, instead of all people, because I'm one of those people where when the relationship is over, it's over. There's a reason it's over. Just like when relationships end, when we break up, there's a reason we broke up. If everything was cool, we'd still be together. So there's something happening that has obviously caused us to need to break up. Same thing in a friendship.
Nikki,
Part
of the reason you have to break up, Nikki, is because I can't be with nobody else while I'm stuck with your trifling ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me go out there. Now, if you got a trifling friend, all right, let me go hang out with my other friends, or let me go do whatever. But if you are in monogamous relationships and exclusive, I have to break up with you and distance myself from you in order to find that which I'm looking for.
That's true.
But in friendships, that's not required.
I guess it depends on how you value your friendships or not, because the
I don't have to disown you. Like you can be my friend and Denise could be my friend, and you and Denise don't even like each other. But I could still be friends with both of y'all. I don't have to take one
That ain't got to
allegiance
do
and
with
make
you.
this about it. But that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it different. Romantic relationships different from friendships. You're not forced to pick one or the other. You can, in friendships, I can have all y'all be my friends. Maybe we can't all hang out at the same time, but y'all can all be my friends. In romantic relationships, I can't have, unless you're in a certain type of lifestyle, you can't have multiple romantic relationships at the same
May
time.
I ask a question?
So, and not only that, you put that much more stock in the romantic relationship, since this is the only one I can have, it's gonna have to be right. So you can be a slightly shitty friend, and I'll be like, Nikki ain't kind of, she need to get herself together. But I don't have to dismiss you as a friend. I might just hang out with my other friends a little bit more because you ain't on your game for whatever reason. In romantic relationships, this is all I got. So if you acting shitty, then I'm stuck. So my only way is to get out of this relationship and find a better one. That is just not necessary with friendship. That's all I said different. You can, what was you about to say, sir?
Yeah, I was saying, can I ask a question in regards to the relationship thing?
Okay, sure, yeah. We're gonna get this 10 more minutes and we're gonna get out of here.
I mean, it could be short and sweet. It don't have to
I
be
wasn't even
a
talking
whole.
about you directly. I wasn't talking about you directly.
No, it's all good. I ain't tripping. I know you guys trying to be disciplined on the time. But my question is, if you guys haven't mentioned it or said anything about it before, what is the deal breaker to cause a relationship to end or a breakup? Because a lot of people be finding some very shallow ass reasons why they broke up with somebody. And it doesn't be anything circumstantial unless you caught somebody cheating or you're going through their phone, you find somebody doing something they wasn't supposed to do. So I don't know if there was a list put together, but in based on your experience or whatever that may could be relatable to others that are listening in, what are the deal breakers to break up with someone?
I think
Outside of
for
specific
me,
instances, go ahead.
oh, outside of specific instances, I mean, that's all I can really think of without giving like a detailed thing about it. But it's just like, if my trust was broken in any way, I cannot. Because when my trust is broken, I can't believe a word you say. I can't believe a thing you do. And now I'm on your ass like a hawk in the sky. And it's just like not a pleasant experience for either one of us because I just don't trust you. And not trusting my partner, it just makes me sick to my stomach because if you ain't answering the phone, I can't just think you're busy. Now I got to think something else cuz I just don't trust you. I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to do. I want, like, with a partner, like, I want to trust them to the point where somebody could walk up on me with a big manila folder full of evidence and I still be like, but I know this person and I trust this person. That's how much I want to trust somebody that I'm with. So once I lose trust, that you gotta go. And it ain't gotta be because you cheated, you lie, you do anything, and I don't trust you no more. That's it for me. I can't do it.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
So in that same exact breath,
Mm-hmm.
are any of those people you spin the block with in the past them type of people who done broke your trust and you let them come back later, you spin the block later?
Oh, well, see, this is the problem when I be spinning the block. I'm gonna just sit in my truth because y'all know. But when I be spinning the block, I be knowing like that this person is a hot mess and still a mess. And it ain't even necessarily that they came back to me. It was me, like, usually when a spinning of the block occurred, it was me putting my blinker on. Even if I broke up with them. And I'm like, you know, and yeah, definitely. And I would, and it wasn't pleasant a lot of times, especially if the last situation where my trust was broken and I would spin a block and I was like, man, I know I can't see this as no long-term thing. This is just something I'm kind of doing right now. It's like this person's just a placeholder right now because I don't trust you. I can't be with you. And it sucks because it was like, it was a very selfish thing to do when I look back at that era. But I also justified my behavior Because again, not taking responsibility, being like, well, this person hurt my feelings, so I can do whatever I want. And it's like, well, shit, if you're going to give somebody a chance again, you got to give them a real chance. And I was not willing to do that. Right. And it took for me to just keep feeling uneasy about it, to just be like, I can't do this. But I definitely spend a block on somebody I ain't trust. I spend a block.
And we're humans, right? We do that. But the downside to that cycle is we're only fucking our own psyche up with that. We tell ourselves what we aren't going to do, but then we do it. And then we tell ourselves that, oh, but I'm fine, but I'm not. Like, there's still going to be these little ghosts of dysfunctional deposits left in our spirit, right? By dipping back into some shit we know we ain't got no business dipping into, right?
Facts.
And so this is the challenge of growth. This is the challenging of ourselves to growth and to discipline and to not repeating the same behaviors. And if what I've been doing ain't fucking working, then I clearly can't keep doing this. I got to try something different, you know? And that's obviously something I damn sure had to learn. I don't think we all have to learn that at some point, right? It's just, at what point do we say enough is enough? At what point do we say, okay, the message has fucking been received. The lesson is learned. I've mastered it. I'm good. Like, next chapter, next page. Like, no dipping back, no going backwards, you know, or not going back to things that don't serve me, my spirit anymore.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. The last person I double backed on, well, not the last person I double backed on, but this other situation I double backed on it. The only reason why I ended it officially, where I just didn't go back and I was like, I know I'm never going back. I just got this gut-wrenching feeling that I couldn't shake. That was like, you need to leave this alone, and you need to leave it alone now. And if you don't, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Like, I've never felt like that ever. And I still don't know exactly like what that was, what it was about. I just know that I couldn't shake it, and I was sick to my stomach about it. And I had to I was like, okay. I was just like, I got to do it. And I couldn't question it anymore.
Right.
I just had to do it. And I've never felt like that ever in my life as it pertained to another human being ever.
And are you at peace with that today?
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Absolutely. And doesn't that feel amazing? It feels amazing to know. And you know, my daddy taught me my whole entire life, and I hated it. He would always say, feelings just are, feelings just are, feelings just, and I fucking hated it, right? Because I felt like in the moment, validate me now, right? But he was like, no, feelings just are. They're not always going to feel this way. And so I think about all the times that I thought that I was just destroyed emotionally. As I think about those same events right the fuck now, I'm like, girl, bye.
It was saving you. You were being
But
saved.
how powerful it was at that time, but how today I can tell myself, bitch, feelings just are. You are only in your feelings right now. You will be fine tomorrow. You will be fine in 30 minutes if you really sit down somewhere. But that's part of the power of, I think, the wisdom and the growth and just the making mistakes and learning, and then really wanting to just be better, no matter what it is, just being better. And you eventually learn how to be better, make healthier choices, make healthier decisions, feel healthier, think healthier, you know, more productive to what works for me. And I'm excited about this part of watching my children, especially my boys, grow into young teenagers and becoming young men. Because I'm like, man, even the stuff that I did differently with my daughter, you know, being a mom to a daughter than being a mom to sons. Like, I have sons who are now, I'm supposed to be responsible for how they treat women, how they treat their women, how they are in relationships. And it's a fucking joy and honor to be able to help kind of craft some of this. My hope is that they don't have to repeat some of the lessons that I had to learn because I wasn't taught, because I didn't know, right? So just taking all of the things that we have and you know, using spaces in which they can be used, which hopefully this conversation actually tonight is for anybody that's listening to us, is just getting out of this other ways to break up. You know, why we break up, how we break up, better ways to break up. Like, just everything doesn't have to be painful. We don't have to inflict pain on people. Like, again, my biggest thing is love is not pain. Love is not intentional pain. It's not supposed to be intentional pain. Yeah, you're going to get hurt in love because you love. That's what it is. But to inflict pain, to be painful, to try to hurt, that's not love. That's not good. That's not it. And that's how a lot of people break up, with ugly, bitter, nasty, hurtful, all like, so, I keep going back to DK's thing. Is this a real thing? I believe that it absolutely is a real thing to have some breakup decorum, some breakup
It
etiquette,
should.
some
It
some
should.
rules and principles about how to conduct myself on the way out. Absolutely.
Okay, I guess we hit our mark at 2:05.
2:05 it is. Anybody got any other last statements or any thoughts on breakup etiquette? I think we got to all the comments.
I think what we discussed, like, we really, with breakup etiquette, we discussed ways to keep relationships together, really, essentially. It's like, this
We're
is how
avoiding
you
breaking up.
don't break up.
Right. Breakup etiquette, don't break up.
But if you have
Let
to
me
break up,
close
do it
out.
this way.
Let me close out on a few more breakup etiquettes on things not to do when breaking up. Really quick, as much as possible, try no crying and being extra emotional.
Right.
Yeah,
Try to be that it sends mixed messages.
For
Which,
sure.
if you're really trying to break up, you
Right.
don't want to send mixed messages.
Yeah, don't be fake and trying to be all scary and cry. Oh, this hurts my feelings so bad. I have to leave you. Man, goodbye, just leave.
Yeah.
You doing this extra crying? It's like, okay, do you really want to
That's
break up?
yeah, that's
Right.
for you. That's for you.
That's that. And some people, and that's the other danger when people do that, using breaking up as a weapon, and they do all the crying and breaking up, and it's like, if you're trying to get this person to tap into your emotion, then are you really trying to, that it just sends mixed messages. Also, no laughing or joking. Stay away from laughing or joking. Even if you're settled and this is what you want to do, this person is hearing this information for the first time. They may still be emotional and handle it in a certain way. And you making light or attempting to joke in that situation comes off as very disrespectful when they're going through, ain't no telling what type of emotion going on inside of them right now. That's poor etiquette to be trying to laugh and joke during that particular time.
That's a rude person.
Oh, no, it happens. It happens. Absolutely.
Trying to make light.
Now this one is not, you can do it, but I think it's poor etiquette. Well, number one, just be respectful when you're breaking up. You don't want to use no crazy foul language. You don't want to be very accusatory. And this is another one I threw in. Don't be trying to stun on your way out the door. You got your nails done. You got a whole new makeover. You got this dress like you're about to head to the club as soon as y'all finish this conversation.
That's his fucking girl dress. What you talking about?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was gonna say. But I ain't say exactly. That's poor etiquette.
Absolutely
Poor
agree. Agree.
And then the last one that I would say is allow a period of time from the quote unquote new boo and the thirst trap post that you're gonna do on social media. All that stuff, I'm a member, single, ready to mingle, live my best life. Who trying to take me out? Allow a certain period of time before you do that. Remember that your community needs time to adjust as well. And it looks poorly on you to instantly flip the switch. You've introduced this person and people know you two as a couple, family members, friends, other people who've been a part of your community. So you can't, when you decided that you were going to do something and you haven't told everybody, now you can just flip the switch and now you single and ready to mingle all of a sudden. That's not a good look. Especially it's not a good look on your part to be flipping the switch that quick. Be a little sensitive, be a little time before you start doing that and ease your way into it. Don't be like, oh, I'm sorry, this ain't gonna work Monday. And number two, Tuesday, Then you out the club living it out. Like, I'm trying to find my next Mr. Right. Don't be doing all this stuff. Don't do the thirst trapping with my new boo post and all this stuff. Even if you got a new person, you broke up Monday. You shouldn't be posting pictures.
I have a topic suggestion when you're done.
Well, all it's doing is showing how much of an actual loser you are.
Yeah, you're a dickhead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it really showing how much of a loser you are?
It speaks more to your character and who you are than it does the other person.
Mm-hmm. And women do it too.
So
like, it's not just men that do it, but like, it's so very much shows how actually you're super weak. Like, you really are. It's the person who has to go from person to person to person to person. Like, they cannot be by themselves, and then they have to flaunt it. Like, that's, I think, been one of the greatest things about social media is you get to see people in their real environment, where it's like, ooh, cross them off the list. Never would you get a shot, because this is how you conduct yourself on social media. So I can only imagine how you do in real life. Like, nah, use a simp, use a weak.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
Quentin, good stuff on the breakup etiquette. That was pretty good. I can dig that.
Oh,
Suggested topic. Work husband and work wives.
We talked about that not long ago. We talked about 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
We did this one. I'll bump it up though. I'll tag you in it so you can watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind. That long ago. It was about 5 or 6 months ago too. Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out.
That's dangerous territory, but I'm sure y'all tapped into all of that.
I'm not with none of that shit. I ain't with none of it. None of it.
You could be my work brother. I say work brother. I'm not calling nobody my work husband. And you better not ever call me your work wife, because I ain't got time. Ever.
Q likes the work wife, work husband thing. I said, oh, hell to the no to the no.
I don't say I didn't say
you had a work wife relationship.
How about this one?
That's simple.
Yeah.
How about this one for a suggested topic? Child support. Is it staycation or child, or for the child, something like that? But
we can do a child support conversation. That could be interesting. But
yeah,
that could be interesting, because child support goes a lot of different ways. Putting somebody on child support, not putting somebody on child support. All the different states have different rules and laws, but that'd be an interesting conversation. You really get to see who supports and who doesn't support the system. That's for damn sure.
Yep. Is it staycation for the woman to or the mother to go on her vacations, or is it for the best interest of the child? You should subtitle that.
You know what? As a woman that doesn't get child support, I hate that shit when men be like, "What you doing with my money?" If you worried about it, then come get your goddamn kids. That's what you should do. Come get your kids and get you a roof for all these children, and then you ain't got to pay no child support. Come get your kid if you want to know where this money goes. This money goes to your children. Let me stop now so we can have this conversation.
Yeah. That's what I was about to tell you. Save that energy for the child. Save that energy.
I can't stand when that shit happens. But
save that
will
energy.
be a good conversation. That will definitely be a good conversation.
I'm gonna go super quick. One of my rules to the work wife, work husband thing. You cannot label yourself as a work wife or work husband to anybody that you're actually attracted to. If you have any form of attraction to them.
Oh, Denise telling herself.
No. I'm not telling myself. That would be the one time I could give it a pass, because then that's just work brother and work sister, because there's no attraction there.
Right.
I'm just teasing.
I think that's the only way
I know you, Huguenot.
I know that label that you can be,
Let me find out my man got a work wife.
And she cute.
We got
a problem.
Exactly.
I go to the company party,
and not just cute. They his type of cute. Like not just cute. That's your type of cute too. Like I know your type. You like that type too. That's your type of cute. Like no, that would fly.
That does not fly.
And it's not even for me. I
So
don't feel like it's an insecurity issue. It's a respect issue. I would never, ever put my man in a situation like that, ever. So he bet not put me in no situation like that.
You spend more time at work than you do at
Maybe
home.
you got a coworker. What you don't have is a work wife. You got a fucking coworker. You got a boss and supervisor manager. What you don't have is a work wife. Because what you not fit to have is a woman when you get home. Keep that shit up. Keep that shit up. Your wife is at the house. Let me come up there for lunch and set some shit straight real quick, whatever.
The intensity.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're ready for this conversation. You can
I do play about the work wife.
you're more,
thing.
you're more caught up. People get more caught up in the phraseology of it than they do what it actually. And some people, if you using it in ways that it shouldn't be used, that's your fault. That's just like people use the shirt called a white beater. Now we actually going around promoting that somebody beat. No, it's just.
I mean, oftentimes people that beat their wife do have on a fucking wife beater,
So why give it that name if it doesn't mean that? It doesn't make no sense.
But that's my point, though, Yehukana. Thank you for that. Most people who wear it probably don't even call it that. But just because somebody else call it that, if you know what it is, don't act like they ain't talking to you, or don't act like you can't acknowledge it because you know what it's referring to. Just referring to a certain type of shirt. You're not gonna take it as, man, I'm good to my woman. I ain't never put my hands on my, like, what if somebody got in that type of argument every time somebody referred to that shirt as like, that would be like the phrase that's used is that's not what it's meant for.
Right.
So in the same manner, then the phrase it uses, that's not what it meant for. And anybody who, and in most cases, I would say this, even in most cases, 90% of people, at least 90% of people who would even use that phrase, ain't nothing crazy going on with the person that they would or they wouldn't want to. Because if you is doing something that you ain't supposed to be doing, you wouldn't even want to draw that type of attention to yourself. Unless these are, narcissistic people who are, get off of. But that's what I'm saying. It's a low percentage of people who actually would.
But it's a high percentage of people misappropriating their fucking private part.
Try to hide in plain
It's a high percentage of people lying. It's a high percentage of people being sneaky. It's a high percentage of people being unfaithful. It's too many high percentages of doors and windows being open in places where all I need to do is go to work and get my motherfucking paycheck. That's all I'm here for. I'm not here to have no fake ass relationship with the next person and the next person. Nah, that's just too much.
Well, okay, so what I'm saying is, Nikki,
it's my coworker. That's it. That's just my coworker.
No, when I'm talking about percentages, I'm saying the percentage is it's a higher probability that when people are doing things that they're not supposed to do, they try to hide it. They don't try to be blatant. You don't try to invite unwanted questions into your atmosphere. So, for instance, I worked in sales places, call centers, most whores, where some people will tell you the medical hospitality industry, they tell you even more whores, but I grew up in call centers, so I know about that. There's very, very, out of the people who are messing with each other, and by the way, word gets around, you find out about a lot of that stuff real easy. Of the people who are messing with each other, 95% really didn't even hardly interact or speak with each other in the office. They didn't want to draw that attention. You have very, very few people who were open and, interacting with each other when they knew that they were doing something that they shouldn't, supposed to be on the side. So my whole point was, it's more likely that people who are messing around are going to shy away from that type of wording or phrasing or attention than those that would. That's all. But you still have people who do, but it's more likely that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, if my husband is listening to this episode tonight, don't you ever in your life. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
We're going to have our own business anyways. I'm going to run it, and I'm your work wife. That's how that happens, baby.
Wife.
Uh-oh, you're telling on yourself.
Right. But we can, we gonna have. I don't know. Maybe we revisit it in a little while. Who knows, right? But we'll definitely bump back up so people can see that episode because I thought it was a great conversation.
So, did I freeze up?
No.
So y'all can talk about whatever y'all want.
Nah, you clear.
I'm gonna be gone.
Okay. All right. So we'll
Can you
figure
hear
out what we'll talk about next week. Yeah. Can you hear us? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Everybody good? Everybody good? Everybody good? Everybody good?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm
Yep, I'm clear.
yeah. So I'm going on. I'm going on my cruise next week. I'll be out of here, so y'all ain't gonna see me. So
Oh man,
whatever you want.
enjoy yourself. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
Nice.
you
That'll
think my
be
cheeks big now?
beautiful.
Wait till you see me next time. My face will be swole.
Why?
Eating.
Cause I'm gonna
Why?
eat and gain a lot of
Oh,
weight.
you can eat everything on the boat.
That's what you do there.
Right.
Eat
Oh, I couldn't
everything,
think about
drink all
that.
the alcohol, those pina coladas, all the everything.
Is it a 3-day, 5-day, 7-day?
8-day.
Oh shit. That's a long time to be on a boat.
Yeah. No, I think it's well, you know what, 7. I did 7. 7 is like perfect.
Okay, so you've done a 7 before. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That would be exciting. We'll have to talk about
4 is too
that.
short for me. 5 is still kind of too. You kind of
Yeah,
get a
4
little
is too
rest in
short.
5, but 7.
4, you just go out, go in a circle
7
at the Gulf of Mexico, and you go back. Like 4, you don't do much. You don't go far. All your time's on the water.
But yeah, I like the
So
7-day, at least 7, because it gives me the opportunity. I can take a day or two to do absolutely nothing, whatever I feel like. You
right.
know, you may spend a day or two. All right, we're going out here, we're doing this. You might have some event plan stuff, and then I want a couple days where I just don't do
Just chill on the
Just
boat.
lay
Yep.
out, chill, and
Eat, drink, chill. Let the
part
kids
of
swim.
right. I don't want to be kids. Kids, you talking about? You taking no
What
kids
cruise?
with
Oh, don't cry.
What cruise line you going on?
going on Carnival? There ain't no way I'm taking you. Listen, the most miserable people in the world is the ones who be bringing their kids with them. I've
You
seen it too
crazy.
many times.
I travel with my kids every time. I've never vacationed without them.
With your guy?
You just cut out. What'd you say?
Even with your guy, you still take your kids too?
I don't vacation with men. I don't have a man. I haven't had a man in forever. So I haven't vacation with a man since my kid's dad, like since we were together.
But
So
that's what I'm saying. So in those situations, you're not trying to bring your kids. Why would you want some kids messing up all the sex you're gonna have? That's ridiculous.
I mean, you're married, so y'all can do that all the time anyways. But no, I mean that's not to say that you don't need kid-free vacations. No, that's not to say that kid-free vacations are not necessary, because they are. No, I used to want to take one on a cruise, but now I don't want to get back on a boat. I don't want to get back on a cruise. Damn, sorry, y'all. I can't do that neither. Well, that'll be good. That'll be good. That'll be good. We'll figure out what the hell we're going to talk about next week. We'll figure it out. But that's it for tonight. Looks like we lost Denise. Yuhukanon, thanks for being here tonight and joining us. And thanks for coming last week to our last Tuesday. Everybody that, participated in the comments. Thank y'all for participating in the comments and, just giving us some good feedback, sharing the page, and just being here with us, man. I mean, it's just endless thank you, endless appreciation, endless, love for the support that y'all give to us. Keep sharing, keep coming back, keep participating. The last Tuesday of every month will be in person, so put that on your calendar, and hopefully we'll see some of you guys in April at our in-person meeting. Otherwise, Q, if you got nothing to see you guys next week. Good?